Hello, everyone. Happy July 4th weekend. And I guess there's a big wedding happening this weekend. And the Botox eye is back. Aren't we excited? Dealing with migraines and having people not properly put in things. Okay, here's Debbie. Yay, so excited. Okay, why is it not letting me request? What is it doing? It's not letting me. Oh no. There we go. That should work.
Okay.
Yay!
Here we are. Okay, I'm always trying to get my
I know. Everything right.
Yeah.
I decided that I'm just going to stand because it makes my life easier.
I know. I normally always stand, but I'm going to sit tonight. I'm going to be different. All right, let me see. This wants to go this way. All right.
I know. How are you? How are you surviving the heat?
I'm good. I'm surviving the heat. We got the air conditioner rolling, so with the fans, and it's all good. How about yourself in New York? Hi, Donna Rowland.
It's very hot. I turned off the AC because it would be too loud. And so I
Oh,
didn't want to deal with all that. But,
that's yeah. Mine is quiet, thank God. So, oh.
I know. Do you have any fun plans this weekend?
Family plans this weekend. So,
Fun.
yep, I'm going to spend a couple of days with family. So, this is
Nice.
good. Yeah.
Nice.
How about
I'm very
yourself?
excited that you're on. I'm so excited that we're going to talk about your health and fitness and spiritual journey. I
I,
know you've been on Medium Rare with Lisa, and
I,
it's just, I love having you on there. And I'm excited to get a different perspective of Debbie. I think it's fabulous. So, for people that don't know you, can you introduce yourself and then give them a little backstory of you and your beginnings of getting into the health and fitness world?
oh, yeah, sure. So, today I am a professional psychic medium as of like 6 years now, but I was a kindergarten and first grade special education teacher for 23 years. And my mediumship and gifts have always been a part of my life since I was 6. And then the fun fact is that I always said that I would never be a teacher because my mom and dad were teachers, and I was never ever. So 23 years later, here I am. Here I was, because I'm not anymore. But fitness, I had always been an active kid. Fitness had always been part of my life. I did dance, gymnastics. I did like tap, ballet, lyrical ballet. I was gymnastics team. Then I got to high school. I was on the did the flag. I was always an active kid. And I never really needed to learn, like, I should say not learn, but I never really like went to the gym, or I didn't do like sports like that, but I kept active. And then in my early 30s, it was my early 30s. So like all of us here, we have heavy emotional things that we go through. So I was going through my early 30s, a tough emotional situation in my life. And that I started to gain weight from that situation I was going through. And so then I went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, well, we're going to put you on some antidepressants. I'm like, great. Okay. So that helped me with the emotional situation. But as I was gaining weight from just the situation, the emotional situation, the meds were helping me. But a side effect of the meds was a weight gain. Yeah, I had no idea. So I am like packing it on. And I was running at the time. One of my very dear friends got me into running. And when I first went running, I said to her, I said, what are you, crazy? I go, you think this is fun? I'm like, and then I did my first 5K, and
Nice.
I loved it. I was hooked. I was like, okay, now I see why you love this. So despite doing all this run, like I'm running like 7 miles, 8 miles, I'm like, and I have to say, I wasn't eating the best. I really didn't know about eating either. I didn't know about
I
eating
know.
well. So, but I was doing the running, and I'm like, I just keep gaining weight. What the hell is going on? So when I went to the doctor, he told me that was a side effect. So I am a voracious reader. I love to read. So I had gone to like a local Barnes and Noble at the time. Let me say, this is about 20 years ago. I was 32, 33 at the time. I'm 55. So, and fitness has stayed a part of my life all of these years. So I'll never forget, I walked into this like Barnes and Noble, and they had like, you walk in, they have, back in the day, they had like all the bestsellers out.
Right.
And there was this one book, it was called Body for Life, and it was by this gentleman named Bill Phillips. And I was drawn to it. And I looked, and I just quickly was like looking through it and reading it. And there were all these beautiful stories of people who, like ordinary average people like you and me, who have these like great like weight loss transformation, and I started reading it, and he was like talking about food, and just reading a couple of pages, I'm like, I gotta buy this book, because I'm like, just from these few pages, I'm not eating right. I really don't know what to do. And I'm really motivated by the pictures, by these people, by their stories. They're very inspirational. So I bought the book. I read it in like 2 days. I what I loved about it, I'm a Capricorn, so I love structure and I have
Same.
discipline. So if you give me the plan, I'll do it for you.
Right.
So if you're like,
Same.
Deb, here's the plan, I'm like, I'll do it for you. So he had it all, like everything was mapped out. Like, these are the days you weight train, this is what you eat. And what I also
I'm
loved
gonna go get
was,
this book. I mean, I eat
oh,
clean, but I need
I
to get
don't
this book.
I don't even know if it's still in print. It's got
Oh,
to be
I'm
still
sure
in
it's
print
still
and
in
stuff. All
print.
right. If not, I got another, and there's another book about just eating clean and clean recipes, I can tell you, because that was like my Bible for a while too. So I had no idea about protein shakes, supplements. Like, I had a whole education in the back of the book. He had all these visuals about like how to do the weights, and my dear friend who taught me how got me into running, she did take me to the gym, but I was just like so overwhelmed. So I kind of had a little background. So I took this plan, and I was just like, okay, I'm going to the gym. I'm going to do what I can do. And it just, there were certain days like that you did weight training, and what I loved about the weight training was like it was you could see progress, because you would do reps and say, here was like an example, you do like, say you were doing bicep curls, and it
Right.
would just be like it would say, you're going to do, say I started doing 10 reps with 8 pounds, then 12 reps with 12 pounds, and then like say 6 reps, like, so the reps would decrease and the weight
Increase
would
and the weight
increase.
gets higher.
And over time, and then I learned all about, I had no idea what like whey protein was. I had no, like, I was eating all the wrong things. I had no idea. So I learned, like, after you work out, you've got to feed your muscles because you've just depleted them. And so anyway, I got this just from this book. I got this whole education. I implemented it. I started losing weight. I got off the meds. I have to tell you, I got off the meds. That was a big part of it too. So I got off the meds, and I started doing this, and I started losing weight, and I did what he said. Like, it was like, take a picture of yourself with this, because what happened was, as I was gaining the weight, here was two turning points for me. I actually saw my picture. It was my family threw me a surprise 30th birthday party. Now I knew that I was getting up, like my size was increasing. I wasn't like, I'm wearing baggier things. I wasn't feeling good about myself. It wasn't until I saw that picture, I went, oh
Isn't it?
my God.
Oh my God, the pictures that, like, that's how I didn't realize how when this premenopause kicked in, because I was always little. I was always like a size 0, then I went to a size 2, then I was always like a 2'4", and then all of a sudden, like, premenopause kicked in, and I'm like, what in the,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's,
Yeah.
and you see those photos, and I was at my niece's second baby shower, and I was like, oh my God.
And that was my realization period, when when I saw those pictures, I went, holy mother of God. Not to mention when I went into a TJ Maxx dressing room, and I took, because in my mind I'm like, I knew it, but I was like, ah. And so I was like, I took in like my regular size, and then I was like, oh, I got to go up to the next size. Oh, I got to go. I was like, Debbie, this is going to stop. Like, I was not
Right.
happy with myself. I wasn't feeling good. Plus I was not in a good situation. So anyway, so those were my two like big realization moments. I was like, something's going to change. So I love that this guy in the book, you take a before picture, hold the newspaper with the date on it, take your picture. This is the day that you started. I believe it was like 90 days. It was like 3 months. Just keep working at it. I did. Now, what I loved, I didn't get on the scale either. I just went those 3 months. What I did do was I got a pair of pants that I couldn't fit into before, like when that picture, after that picture was
Right.
taken. I could fit into the
Isn't
pants.
that
And then I
so
was all
appealing?
excited and I go, let me get a belt. I want to see if I can actually put a belt with these pants. And I could. And that's when I got on the scale to actually see. And so as time went on, I was losing the weight. I was starting to do heavier weights. So people at the gym said to me, they were like, Debbie, you should compete. I go, I don't know what that is. And they're like, listen, there's this thing called like, because there's like bodybuilding. And at the time, 20 years ago, there was something called figure competitions that were coming out that are still out there today. And so I was like, okay, let me go see what it's about. So I went to a show and I resonated more with the fitness than the bodybuilding. So I went and started to, I said, okay, this is going to be a goal for me. So I had to get a trainer. So it was so interesting that this whole book took me to losing this weight, to training for this competition. Like, and then once I trained for that competition, at my first competition, I met a trainer or a coach and she actually commented on your, um, what do you call it there?
Yeah, the promo.
Flyer, the promo. And she's a huge influence and a big part of my fitness journey,
I
Kathy
love that.
Savage. And at my first competition, she came up to me and she's like, you look really great, but you need a lot of tweaks. You're training with a guy coach, you need a girl coach. So anyway, I went to her and that's truly where my whole life changed from like say 32 to either 38 or 39.
Wow.
I just like focused on just I loved the girls. I loved the camaraderie. I loved learning all about the food, how to eat. Because let me tell you, people will ask me. They ask me along the way, and they still ask me. People will say to me, Debbie, is it the gym or is it the food? I go, let me tell you, hands down, it's the food.
Yep, absolutely.
80% of the time, if
Yep.
you eat well, then 20% have a piece of pizza, have your ice cream, have what you like. You have to. You can't maintain that crazy,
But there are people that do. Like, I know people like when they're, in sports or athletes, during that time, they do eat that strict. And then when they're done, I mean, yeah, I mean, I know for me, when I eat clean, super clean, I look different, I feel better. And, I will say,
agree.
like, the last couple months I kind of fell back, but now I'm starting like I July Monday, it's all back to the way I was eating
Yeah.
because it's true, you get abs in the kitchen, not in the
Mhm.
gym.
It's so true. And even the cardio I learned from this book, I never knew about high intensity interval training. They call it HIIT training. I had no idea what that was. When I learned about that, that also changed like everything.
Well, now
So
speaking of which, they also say now though they talk about women when they're in their 40s and 50s and older shouldn't do the cardio as much. They should walk, but they should primarily lift weights.
yeah. Yep. For and I agree. But I do a little but I do see this is why I love this book with this plan. You do cardio on certain days and you do weights on certain days. And now that I'm 55, I do cardio, weights, and I do Pilates because I gotta do some stretching
Love
at my age
Pilates.
now. Like I do
Yes.
functional kind of stuff at my age.
Yes.
But so the crazy thing was, so I felt so grateful I found this community and I loved it. I competed for I don't know however many years that was 7 or 8 years. I won my pro card.
Really?
Yeah, I won my pro card in two federations.
Oh, I love
I,
that.
I feel grateful. I always placed like for my age because there were always like a lot of 20 somethings and I was a 30 something at that time. And so I felt grateful like I was in like master's division and older division, but I placed always top five. I felt very grateful. So this passion turned into getting certified as a personal trainer. I wanted to train other people. So here I am already a school teacher teaching children. Now I want to get into health and fitness and I want to be a personal trainer, which I did. I went for my certification, but I want to back up and say when we were talking about eating so clean, what happened was it was my first competition, first or second one. What I do remember is when I was eating so pure and so clean, this is when spirit, like it was crazy. It was like spirit started to come in at the same time that I started doing bodybuilding and
And that,
competing. It was a double, it was two things at once because what I found out was eating clean was opening up my channel
and
like
that was
in
one of my
huge way.
questions is, as you're training and you're getting healthier, do you find that you open up closer to source and God and spirit? And how does that work? Why do you think that is, that when you're working out and you're eating clean, that you get closer to spirit?
Yeah, I feel like food, like everything else has a vibration. Everything
Right.
has, so like when we have like sugar, no, that's heavy, it's dense, it's not good for you. When you have that, like I was eating like so much fish and meat. So like my coach used to say, Debbie, if it swims, you can pick it off a tree. What was the other thing? Comes from the ground, then you can have it. And it's the truth. Like, so it was a combination of, I have to say, because Spirit showed me three things. So really what was happening, I was going through this very emotional situation. And what I do know is that when people go through a very heavy emotional situation in life, sometimes that's when spirit opens up for you.
I
So
agree.
it was kind of like a trifecta, I'm going to say. So I was going through the emotional situation. I am competing. I'm eating clean. And all of a sudden, I remember specifically being at school. So, like, the first time I figured this out, like the eating and the emotional, everything opening up. I remember, you know how we all like we talk out loud to ourselves. We're just like, oh, I wonder if la la la, or and I was doing that, and I was getting an answer, and I'm like, who's talking to me? But it was my voice, but it was not my tone, and they were not my words. There'd be like vocabulary words I wouldn't use. So for example, instead of like I'd say money, it might be fiscal, financial, monetary, lucrative, like words I wouldn't use. I'd be like, okay, this is my voice, but it is definitely not my tone and or my words. So that was like super interesting. So I said, and then it like spirit like wanted me to know like this is what's going on. So then I went to work and I could hear bits and pieces of things. Now I'm not hearing people's dirty laundry. I don't want people thinking, oh, Deb's here. No, it was things like this. Like here's a really good example that I use a lot because it really stuck out to me. I was walking down the hallway at work teaching, and a beautiful teacher assistant walked by me. She's a wonderful lady. And all I heard was going to Ireland. That's all I heard. She took a turn into the copy room. I followed her. I went in. We were at the end of school. It was like the summer, like I
Getting me
believe it was the
chills because I
beginning of
love stories like this.
beginning of June. And I walked in and I said to her, I said, Elaine, I go, what are you doing for the summer? And sure as shit, what does she say?
Going to Ireland.
Yeah, my family and I just booked a trip to Ireland. I'm like, whoa, oh my gosh. And these little like things, or a person would talk to me and I could hear the answer while they're talking to me. And I would just be like, oh my God, this is crazy. What's going on? So I, I'm so happy we're having this conversation because there's so many things that I realize now going back that were going on. But the food and the exercise, along with the emotional piece, the situation that was going on, definitely got me full tilt. So I think going back to your original question, food, like everything else, has energy and vibration. I'm trying to think of of course, it'll come to me after, but do you remember Doreen Virtue? Do you remember her?
Yes, and
Okay,
she changed. So I used to love her, and she totally changed.
she did. I'm gonna keep my thoughts to myself, but
I know.
anyway.
But yeah,
But she
yeah.
had a book, and I have the book somewhere in my house. And I can't think of the name, but she used to have a book about, and used to, she has a book about like nutrition and mediumship. And for some reason, the one thing that sticks out there was like pineapples or eating pineapples or
Love
something.
pineapple.
I don't know, but so she has a book like that. So which just further like for me solidifies that like foods have different vibrations and different energies. So like, and I think of too, like when I'm done doing an event, sometimes I'm like, I just need a hamburger. I need something to like,
I'm
I'm
a total,
like,
you know me, I'm a
a
total
meal.
burger girl.
Yeah.
I'm all about, I have merch coming soon and I have a hat and I'm going to have different hats for each platform. And one of the things is just eat the burger.
I love it. Yeah. So I'll have a hamburger just to like
Oh my
ground
God.
me,
I'm
but
sorry. I let cheat. No, they're fabulous. You should have one every day if you want.
I love it. And yeah, so then I got certified to be a personal trainer. And the woman who was training me, different from Kathy, I had a local, she's a dear friend of mine. And once she saw my whole weight loss journey, she truly encouraged me. She's like, Debbie, if you go and because I was talking about it. She goes, listen, if you go and do it, I will give you a job here. And I was like, oh, I love this. So for a good chunk of time, I don't know, it was more than 5 years. I mean, it's probably about 8 years, maybe more. I did two things. I taught, and then after my teaching, I would go and do personal training. And I had a bunch of clients that I would train. And then that slowly turned into I was doing teaching, I was training, and then I was reading for clients out of my house at the time. So then I went back to the trifecta of doing three things. And then after I had competed, I was getting toward the end of competing, and I was like, my mediumship was becoming more and more. And so I eventually gave up. I gave up my personal training to really focus on my mediumship. So, but yeah, and to this day, I will tell you that I have certain rituals that of the food that affect my mediumship. So,
Let's talk about it. I want to hear about it.
yeah, so I will always have I have a protein shake before I do a group event. I will and before my event, I don't eat a lot, but what I will most of the time that I will eat is I will either have a piece of like grain bread with peanut butter, so I have like a low carb with some protein, or this is going to be funny, but it really does it regulates my blood sugar. I will have yams. I will have a can of yams. Sweet
That's
potatoes, yams.
interesting.
Yeah, because
I love that though.
it regulates your blood sugar. When I was competing, this is what I lived on: fish, yams, and it was like a science. So
So
like
that
as
was my
we
other. Go on, go on.
as we got closer to like the stage date, it was like science, Lisa. Like it would be like, I want you to eat like this much sweet potato and this many ounces of fish at this time, and like here I am in my car with like a cooler, like, and I'm like, sitting in a parking lot.
But how does that, like, when you're competing and you're trying to figure out what food to eat, like, who determines this is what you need to eat? This is how much? Like, how are they figuring out what you need and what amount?
That your coach does that, and they look at your body. Everyone has a different body
Right.
composition. They look at, and the other thing was what a great question asked me, because different federations were they liked different looks. So there were some federations that I'd compete and they wanted really lean muscular, but then there were other federations that didn't want that look. They wanted a different look. So the coach would be like, you know what, this federation doesn't want a really lean muscular girl, Debbie, so we got to do eat this and this, and this is the way we have to do the food, and so it truly is a science. So I love when people say to me, is it the food or is it the exercise? I'm like, hands down, it's the food. It's a whole science. Truly, it's a science when you think about it.
It really
So
is.
yeah.
How did fitness though help you with your healing from everything that you went through?
What a great question. Fitness still, as you can tell to this day, is a huge part of my life and my healing. So once your vehicle and your vessel is really good, to me, it really helped me. Now also meditation is also part of that. But could you tell me that question again? Oh my God, I lost it as soon as you gave it to me.
It's okay. I'm glad I'm not the only one because that
No.
stuff happens to me all the time. Um, how does fitness how did fitness heal you?
Okay.
How let me get back to my question. See, I can do the same thing. How did fitness become a part of your healing? How did doing fitness change the things, especially, everything you went through in your 30s?
Yes. Okay. So how to fitness? It helped heal my mental, emotional, and physical well-being, everything. So literally the lifting of the weights made me physically strong. The eating of the food made me like emotionally more open. And then I respected my body and my vessel more. Like I was like, I have more energy. You should see me. So being a runner, when I had all that weight on me, oh my God, running was not like when I lost that weight. I was like, holy moly, I like lost a half a person over here, like like a teenager. I lost, in terms of weight, and I'm like, I run faster. My mental acuity was so much better. So like everything was better. I had more energy. I had more mental clarity. I had all of that. And so that helped me with my healing because, first of all, I wasn't feeling so terrible about myself. And all of these tools just made me feel better. And not only for me, but for teaching with my kids,
Okay.
for my clients when I was reading out of the house. Um, I was better for everybody, not just for myself, which was the biggest benefit. And then as you age, the biggest thing I look at now and I go, okay, so everyone back when I was competing, oh my God, taking creatine was like I was taking a banned substance. Like,
I noticed
oh
I
my
started taking
God.
creatine about three
And
months ago, and
you would,
I am noticing a difference.
Lisa,
Um,
I've been
be,
taking it for 20 years. And now
I
I'm
only
kind
take
of,
5 grams. I only take like one scoop, and I put it
it's
in my coffee in the morning with my collagen.
yeah, that's okay. But it's so funny for me to fast forward now because, like I said, back then it was like you would have thought I was taking like a banned illegal substance. It was so funny. And I'm just like, now he's like, creatine, creatine. I'm like, okay, I've been on this bar, I've been on this train
But
for
I
20
don't think,
years.
but see, people, they don't educate. Like, I've had this platform for a while, and, I'm trying to bring it back and get more episodes so people can have these conversations because now there's so many things of what we need to eat, what we need to take. And I forget the name of the guy that I keep seeing. He's like a pharmacist Phil or something. And he was talking about women need collagen,
I take it.
creatine,
I take it.
and vitamin D3 with K
I take
and
it.
magnesium.
And I take
That's
it.
what women need. Oh, and then he also kind of talks about the beetroot, but that's not. But he was
That
basically
I don't do.
saying, like, especially when we get older, like, my biggest thing now is yes, I'm trying to get back to eating clean. And because I was doing really good there. And then the last couple months, I don't know what happened. And then we know June was not the best month for me. And getting back into, okay, I'm not it's when you were eating healthy and then you stop and then you're like, oh, well, this is why I'm feeling this way. So I know what to do, but I will say, and I'm losing my train of thought of what I was saying though, the creatine has made a difference, and I didn't think it would. Now, as far as the skin, if somebody's got a cure for the crepey skin that I do not know,
No.
what is that? Because you don't feel pretty or attractive.
I
Like,
know. It's a collagen to some degree. I just don't know. I just don't know what degree, but
because
yeah.
like I am waiting for one of my settlements to come in. I have the estate money coming in, and then I have my ankle settlement money. I am going to go to one of those spas that have those like tightening skin things because
Lisa, I'm going to sing you a song. If it makes you happy, do it. That's
that's
how
right.
I feel.
And for those of you who don't know, Debbie's known as the singing medium. So like if she starts singing, this is why.
Oh,
And how did you get the name the singing medium?
I did not give it to myself.
Okay.
People started to affectionately refer to me as when they would see me or in my office, or I'd see them 2 or 3 times. They're like, "You're the singing medium. You're the singing. I'm going to call you." I started hearing it from people over and over, and I'm like, okay, so I'm just going to call myself this because everyone else is calling me this name. So I didn't name myself that. Other people did, which I think was pretty cool. And the other
Yeah.
cool thing is that I love. That people who have been clients of mine for a long time, in their sessions, the songs that come through, they make a playlist of them, which I think is the coolest thing. They're like, "Dad, this is a playlist over the years of my readings."
I love it.
So,
What made you go from, okay, I'm not gonna teach anymore. I'm not gonna teach fitness anymore. I want to be like a medium. I want to talk to spirit. I want to help people in another way. When did you come to realize that? What had happened?
oh God, that was such a long journey. But I because you know what we have this. internal fight with, I had in full disclosure, I did not feel worthy to do this work full time for a very long time in my life.
Really? How
Oh,
come?
yes. Oh, my God. Yes. That's why I always say I am so grateful to those people who allowed me the opportunity to come to my home, and I would read for them and they would come back. And then sometimes people would be like, Deb, I want you to read for me. I'm like, no, I literally, Lisa, I referred people out. I farmed people out for a long time. I'm like, no, 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 And the more I said no, the more spirit was bringing me people. And they're like, no, Debbie, yes, yes. Like, so this worthiness thing was part of my journey, which I feel like is why it took me so long to leave my teaching. I was like, am I really that I could leave my teaching and help people on that level that, I have a master's degree in teaching and, and mediumship is just unregulated and, but, so it was, and I had people also saying to me when I was teaching, they would say to me all the time, Debbie, you're teaching and you're booked out 3 months. Imagine if you
Awesome.
left teaching, you like Spirit's showing you that you have a client base. Because I did work 10 years, nights and weekends before I actually left. So like I said, at one point I was doing three things. I was reading out of my house. I was working full time as a teacher, and 2 or 3 nights a week I was training clients. I was doing personal training and training clients. So eventually what happened was I started to get more and more clients, and people started saying to me, you're teaching full time. And so at one point it was like what really happened is, this is what I know, and I know you can relate to this, Lisa. When a chapter of your life is about to close and you're not ready for it to close, and you fight it tooth and nail, but you need to leave, but you don't know how, you don't know if you should, you don't know like what, well, if I go, like what's going to happen, like all these fear-based things, understandably. So when Spirit's like, I'm done with your BS, and we're just going to pull the rug out from underneath you, and you're
Exactly
going
what
to leave.
happened to me.
Yeah, you're gonna see that you're really not, like, this chapter is now done. It has
Exactly.
served your purpose.
And
And
go on.
so it was, I always say, when the whole world shut down and changed, when everybody else's life changed, mine did too. And so that's when I truly doing all of these things. I wasn't doing the training at the time because I was working in 2020. I probably have been working a good, I was at 10 years. It was 10 years that I worked behind the scenes nights and weekends. And it was finally, because being going back to the fitness, I take so many supplements, as you could tell, as I was like, yep, yep, yep. My health is first and foremost. Your health is your wealth all the time. You don't have your health, you got
Absolutely.
nothing. That's why I tell people too, with my mediumship, I will never overextend myself. Never. If I don't have the energy, I'm not going to do readings. It's just not who
I
I
don't blame
am.
you.
Yeah. So anyway, back to that. Spirit just in a nutshell decided, we're going to give you a nervous breakdown, stress-induced mental and emotional breakdown. And I was physically sick for a number of days, like at least 8 to 10, which never happens to me. So I was like, I gotta go to the doctor and see what's going on. And so besides being physically ill, the doctor did say to me, and I've been with my physician for years and years. She knows me. And she's like, Debbie, she took my blood pressure. And she's like, your blood pressure is up. She goes, talk to me. What's going on? And she goes, your blood pressure is never up. And so I started to tell her everything, and I just broke down in tears. And she looked at me and she was like, okay, I am writing you out of work. And I was like, no, you can't, And I was like, because I was freaking out. And she said, no, she goes, listen, you need to go get yourself well, mentally, emotionally, physically. She goes, you're having a stress-induced breakdown. That's what's going on. So the biggest blessing, which you said felt like the rug being ripped out from underneath me, was she wrote me out of work. And that forced me to look at my life. And that's when I took a leave of absence. I looked at my contract and I said, you know what? I can take a leave of absence. And I said, this is scary, but I'm going to do it. And it took a little while for my family to be on board. And I was just like, listen, I don't have any time for negativity right now. Like, you people are either with me or without me. And that's just the way it is. If there's nothing positive, I can't listen to you right now because I got to dive all in on this. And honestly, when I took my leave of absence, that's when doors were just opening left and right for mediumship. And when the year was up and the school system came back and said, Debbie, you coming back? I said, no.
Good for you.
I love my life. I loved my teaching. but that breakdown showed me that that chapter was done. I didn't know it at the time. I only knew it after the fact. You
Right.
know, and that's when I knew it. And so all these doors opened for me, and I was so grateful. So, and I still am so grateful. I always say I have pinch me moments. I always go with this step, pinch me, pinch me. This is what this is. There
Well,
was
and
days that
that's
I go to my office too. Like on a Tuesday, I'll go to my office and I'll be like, okay, so Debbie, it's Tuesday. Pinch yourself, because normally this would be a lunch duty day. At this time, we're having lunch duty.
see, I
We
love
are
that.
we're managing children in the lunchroom where I actually I like get to say, and at one time that was so fulfilling to me and I loved it, but I outgrew it. And so I, you know, and I got to be in my office. So yeah, that's how I finally like was like, and through all of this, what got me through my breakdown, what got me through my fitness. That's what got me through my break. What got me through the breakdown when I 20 years ago? Fitness, lifting weights, running, eating right. The second I wasn't meditating 20 years ago, it was the second breakdown. I was already in that mode of meditating because I was already doing the mediumship. So it all comes back to everything came back to in my life teaching. I feel like I was an actual teacher. I was a teacher of health and fitness, and now I get to be a teacher of the afterlife. But I feel like in some capacity, Lisa, I've always been a teacher of the afterlife. That's always showed up in my life because in my teens and in my early 20s, the teaching aspect of that showed up in where people would tell me their deepest, darkest things, and they would tell me that. And I would know or feel that they weren't lying to me when they'd be like, Debbie, I've never told anybody this. And I knew they were being honest with me. And I finally said after it happened a few times, I was like, so why me? Why do you feel like I was like, I got to ask somebody now. This is like the sixth time. And that person said to me, well, you give really good advice. You know, what I didn't know was that as they were talking to me, my awareness was subtly shifting to the spirit realm and I was getting downloads. And that was my advice to these people.
Well,
But I
you
didn't.
do give good advice. I mean, I've been through hell and back the last month. I didn't realize like the couple things that you had said when you were like, Lisa, you're still mourning the loss of your father. You're still da 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 da. And you're like, it's okay. And it took me a minute to be like, you're like, you have all this stuff. And I am grateful for it because especially the last month, you know, I got to go back home for a little bit
You
and
did.
I have a new routine and this has been a very calming situation. I'm not freaked out, I'm not stressed, maybe a tiny bit, but not really like I you know, not. And it's just like now I have the opportunities and waiting for other doors to open, as you said, because I'm
They
really
will.
trying to get this podcast back up and running. I don't have the issues on Medium Rare with Lisa. For those of you who don't know, I also host Medium Rare with Lisa, where I interview mediums and psychics. And Debbie's been on there a few times.
I know. I love that
Uh
this is a crossover.
yeah, it is because it's interesting and fascinating, you know. I mean, you have all this experience and it's like people need to know, like it's great. Like, you know,
Thank
yeah,
you.
it's fascinating. If people want to start and they don't know where to start, you know, getting their bodies healthy, changing their diet, like what do you suggest for them?
Oh, I love this because what a great question to ask you because I was never a water drinker, like never. So start off with a very small attainable and sustainable goal for you. So like for me, now I'm drinking like, I don't know what these days, like here we go right over here. Like, you know, all these kinds of like, you know, but I was not a water drinker.
Oh
You
my
know
God, I
what?
love
I was
butter.
addicted to Coca-Cola, addicted more. I'd buy all the 2 liters, get up in the morning. I don't have, I'm not a coffee drinker, but I'd have Coca-Cola. That's
See,
what I
I only
had.
crave, so like we talk about our migraines, I crave like Diet Coke or Coke when I have my migraines. And I do have Diet Coke always or Coke because that's when I want it.
See, and I haven't had since my weight loss. I have not had soda. It's got to be close to I don't know 15 years.
Wow.
I don't have soda. I don't like it. I don't. But that's so crazy because that's all I was addicted. I would go and put all the 2 liter bottles in the shopping cart, and that I'd get up in the morning first thing I'm like, let me go. I gotta have a Coca Cola. I gotta have it, and that was also part of the weight gain too. All that
I
sugar,
bet. Yeah.
I'm
Well, I
having it
remember
morning and
I
night.
didn't when I lived in LA, like I was healthy, fit, little, tight, cute. I didn't touch any sugar. I hadn't touched ice cream. I hadn't touched ice cream, I think, from the time, and I'm not kidding, I was like 25, 26 till almost 40. I had not had a donut and I had not had any ice cream. I didn't eat sugar. It wasn't until I actually moved back, I moved here 13 years ago when I slowly started having sugar again. I think I
And
had it a few times in LA, but I
yeah.
really was not.
Well, and part of that too, and I could say this happened to me, I totally understand that too, because when you're eating so healthy like that, your blood sugar is regulated. So
Right,
we only crave those things because the blood sugar is not regulated. That's what I've
right.
learned. So you were eating well, exercising, so your body wasn't even missing that at all.
Especially like
So
all the Fryman walks and the Runyon Canyon walks. And, like I love getting up now in the morning and walking. Like today I did
yeah,
Central Park and I went to the other park over here. I think tomorrow I'm going to go to the other side to the water. Even though some mornings I sleep in really late, which is not like me, but I'm not going to bed.
I'm
I'm on a different schedule now. And so I think
yeah,
that that's okay too. I think it's
um,
nice. It's
it is
really
okay.
weird. Like I slept until 9:30 one day. And I'm like, what the, I don't do that.
I know because that was me on my teacher schedule. I'd get up at 4:30 in the morning. I'd make it good at
Yes.
5:30. I'd be at work by 8:30, and now I'm out at events at night. So when I'm done, I always say I'm tired and wired, which is the truth. So I got to come home. I got to like calm down, get in a different space, and I go to bed a lot later. So I'm getting up later because I need to sleep. That's another part of the whole health and
Right.
fitness. You got to sleep. Your
Gotta
body
sleep.
needs to restore and repair. So
Right.
sleep is very important. Yeah. Yeah.
I,
But
yeah.
going back to what to tell people, this is what I did. I did a small step that would help me attain and sustain so you feel successful. Because if you go and say, okay, I'm getting rid of all my junk food, that's extreme, and you're not going to stick to it. You're not. So I always say, pick one thing. So for me, like, is it sugar? For me, it was water. I knew water was good for me. I was not a water drinker. So I made a deal with myself. I said, I started off with one of those little like Poland Springs, like eight ounces. I'm like, so let me, if I can get one of those down a day, I'm great. And then let's work up to like two a day, three a day, right? And I got to three a day. Then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go now advance to an 8 ounce bottle of water. So however long, if I could get through that, if it took me all day to get through that. So I'm like having the water, but having the Coke, having the water, having the Coke, but I'm getting through the bottle. And then eventually what happened was I ended up working up to no more soda because I was getting into following that guy's plan and I was losing the weight. And so I eventually just drank water all the time. So whatever it is, or, maybe it's like, so if I have ice cream 5 nights a week, I'm going to have it just to start 4 nights a week, then 3 nights a week. And then, find a small, actionable, attainable goal. Because if you
Right.
go all out, you don't even need to tell you, that you're not going to stay. It's too extreme. And then once you see that, it's almost like you're training your brain too. You're like, oh, I could do that. I could do that. Just like when I saw that book and when I saw all those people and they inspired me, I'm like, they're just like me. So all I got to do, you're telling me all I got to do is stick to this plan and I'm good. Okay. So I stuck to the plan. I thank God I'm very disciplined, but in consistency. But that's what I always tell people, just start with something very small and attainable. That's what you want to do. So yeah,
Good.
maybe you, if you smoke or you vape, I want to get rid of that habit. That might be something, doesn't
Yeah,
have to
I
be
did
a
smoke like
food.
years ago, but I don't smoke anymore. Like I was a social smoker. Like
Yeah.
the thought of it now totally grosses me out. You know. Um,
Oh.
yeah, I mean, when you're doing readings now and you're opening up to spirit, I mean, do they ever bring up like health stuff like in readings for people, or do they like just talk about whatever, people want to know when they're coming to you for a reading?
Yeah, but a great question again. Most of the time, like Tyler Henry's a medical intuitive. I will only get things if your loved ones have to tell you something for your highest and best. What do I mean? I just used this example yesterday. This is not a coincidence. So, I remember this. I had a client once and she sat down with me and I was made aware by her grandmother in the spirit world that her mom needed to go get checked for something. And this client was like, oh no, Deb, we don't have any of whatever this is in my family, blah, blah, blah. And I said, listen, I just deliver the message. You do, I've done what Spirit asked me to do. I
Right.
honor every message that comes through. This is the message. Go get this checked. And sure enough, there was an issue and they caught it and they took care of it. But,
That's good.
so I tell people, like, if things like that come through for me, I always say it's not to give you anxiety. It's to give you a heads up from your loved ones. They're like, listen, because we have free will choice. So they could give you the heads up. That woman could have made the choice to be like, oh, I'm not going. I'm not, nobody
Well,
in my
hopefully,
family
if
has that.
Spirit ever tells you, you have my permission whenever Spirit, because you know I'm going through some stuff. And if
Yeah.
Spirit tells you anything, I will listen to you.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, that's how I get it for myself medically. That's normally what I'll get. Or the other thing they'll give me a lot too is so I'll be channeling and connecting, and I'll be like, okay, so we've had, like, Spirit will make me aware. They'll show me something. This just happened the other day too. Like we had in this, the people in Spirit stepping forward, the generations stepping forward, had this, either the breast cancer, ovarian cancer, the BRCA gene kind of thing. So
Okay.
they'll actually, Spirit will show me the little DNA, symbol,
Right.
and I will say to them, okay, listen, they're showing that we've had your grandmother come through, had this, and your aunt and your mother, and everybody's on your mother's side, and they all passed of something related to this BRCA gene. What they're showing me, the symbol, the DNA symbol. So you need to at least do the research to make sure you're clear. And you know what I love? Most times my client will be like, already did it. And I'm like, awesome. So then they're telling me you did do it. All I see is the symbol. I bring it forward and you're good. That will happen with heart issues as well. I'll get it like that. It's almost like a precautionary or a heads up, So health in the mediumship world. That's how I usually get that. Your loved ones will give it to me in that way, like a preventative, a heads up, and that kind of thing.
So
So
does Spirit know, like, I guess if they're giving you messages about our health, like, do they see other things about our future, like who we may marry or a career, or if we may move? Like, do they see those things? Like, if Spirit comes through when you say, some late, let's say I come to you and I'm saying I'm dating this guy, and like, who should I be with? Like, does Spirit say, tell Lisa this, or do they say no if she chooses? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Kind of like the fork in the road, if
yes.
you go this way or that way,
um
like the
yeah,
movie The Notebook.
Yeah, and I will get that two different ways as well. Sometimes I do get things like that from your loved ones, and sometimes I'll say to my client, "I'm not getting this from your loved one. I'm just picking this up, so I need to tell you this." Right? I'm always very clear whether I'm here or here with that information, and in order for me to get it from there, I have a certain way I work with spirit, in which they'll bring me that information. Um, but sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. This is what I've learned. If you're supposed to have a certain experience, I sometimes, when I say I mean when I'm connected with either your loved ones or it's a psychic connection, I will sometimes receive little breadcrumbs, little calming attractions. They will never tell you the whole thing because they need you to have the experience. This is what you came here for. So you might get little glimpses. Like, so here's a good example because I'm seeing it. I had a client when I was reading out of my house. This was many, many, many years ago. Had to be close to 15, 18 years ago. And I sat with this beautiful woman, and she was all about this one guy, and this is the guy. And I would say to her all the time, I'm getting this is not the guy. And but you listen, but you have to do what you feel is in your heart. This is what I'm receiving, and you have to do what's in your heart. So unbeknownst to me, when I sit with a client, I will also channel a peeper. So if you sit with me in my office, obviously I can't do it at an event, but if you sit with me in my office, I channel a whole paper before you sit with me. So, and I started it at my house when I was sitting with clients, and then I stopped it, and people were like, where are my papers? And I'm like, oh, okay, we'll bring them back. But anyway, I guess I had written on, and she showed it to me years later, took a picture of it and sent it to me. All I did was write the name David on that paper. David, and I think that's why I wrote David with a question mark. And she said to me, Debbie, because this gentleman she was with, his name was not David. She goes, Debbie, this doesn't make sense. I go, doesn't make sense to me either, but I'm not going to question it. It's something you need to know. This is my phrase. It's on my website. Take it with you. I learned that phrase from my very first mediumship teacher. I go like this now in defense, like open my pocket and I go, take it with you. Zip it, lock it, put it right in that pocket. We don't, it's coming through for a reason. So I had said to her, just take that with you. Probably 3 years later, she had broken up with the gentleman she was with. She met David.
Love it.
Oh my God, they are to this day happily married. They don't have any children. They have fur babies. They do, speaking of health and fitness, they do all kinds of like triathlons and races and oh my God, and they are the cutest. So to answer your question, sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes I get coming attractions. Sometimes it's not anything because you have to have that experience and spirit is not going to, you know what I mean? Like, so if you were to ask me or anybody else, I know for myself, if you ask me, I sometimes like, I go like this, I go, spirit's giving me a breadcrumb for you, take it with you, or a coming attraction. That's what I call it, you know,
Well,
because what I know is if they gave you the whole plan, then you don't have the experience and you're here. The
right.
whole reason why you're here is to have the experience because we don't have those experiences in the afterlife.
Right. But the other thing that I don't like when mediums and psychics do, like I've been told so many times that I'm going to be with someone and marry someone. I don't know if that's who I'm going to marry. Um, he was in my dream 5 years before I met him.
And
And
it could be just at that time, that's what it was, and he was supposed to cross your path, but you have free will choice.
well, no, but our dream was at our wedding. Like it was a whole thing. And I saw a baby, like it was a whole, so, and obviously he asked me out. I walked away. Don't ask the whole, anyways, it doesn't matter. But what I don't like that mediums and psychics do is, when they guarantee, well, that is who you're going to marry and that is who you're going to be with. I mean, because there's
No,
free will and
no.
things can change.
I would never never. I have people who know me,
No,
never. And people will say to me, starting down, be like, listen, this is what it is today, this date, this time. You have free will choice. So it
What do
could
you
change
say to
everything.
mediums and psychics who do that though? Like that tell people you're going to be with this person. I mean, I don't believe any of that anymore because so many times that's happened. So now it's like, okay, if whatever happens, happens. I do believe who you're meant to be with, whatever is meant for you will never pass you by. If it's
Correct.
5 years, 10 years,
Correct.
whatever.
Yes, the soul has certain events or experiences that are fated here that you're meant to do. Fated, without a doubt. That's happening. And you have other experiences that you have free will choice. So to answer your question, they work their way, I work my way.
So, are there any things like, certain things that are fated, like our careers fated, our love people, are certain relationships fated, are certain, situations fated that you can like explain that, yes, absolutely, or are those also just, free will?
Well, yeah, it varies from person, whatever the soul needs. So, like, you might have relationship or career events that are fated for you, but might not be for somebody else because they're on a different soul journey. They have different,
Right.
so we all have different experiences here. So, I always say, because it's the truth, your whole experience is so individualized, just like your fingerprint, just like a snowflake. Like no two are alike. My experience won't be yours or anybody else's. Close or similar, but it will never be the same.
Right.
So yeah.
It's crazy. So before we wrap up, can you tell us like how to get a hold of you, any events you have coming up?
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I have my website under my name, debbiesquizzero.com. And on my events page are all my events that Rhode Island, and I'm branching out. So I have other events.
Eventually you're coming to New York. We're going to do an event.
Eventually I'm coming to New York. Well, I come to Rye, New York. I do
Yeah,
see
but
my
you're going to come to New York City.
New York City. All right, bye. I do go to Rye, so I'm going to add New York City to my list eventually. And yeah, and I always invite people, please follow me on social media. I'm always on, love my social media community, especially on Instagram. That's my favorite platform. But I am on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and I have a YouTube channel too. So I'm very active on all of those platforms. So
I love it. And is there anything Spirit wants us to know which is how kind of like the next week, the next month. Is there anything like just for like a community, the collective that Spirit wants anyone to know watching?
The first thing I heard is kindness counts. Take care of each other. So,
There we
you know
go.
what's the biggest, and with that, I see the biggest learning with that has been, I love that all this the World Cup, all of these people coming
Yes,
from another
I
country here,
know.
and they're saying, it's so interesting. They're like, all we hear in our country is how terrible it is here. They're like, everywhere else, there's bad and there's good everywhere, everywhere. So, yeah, I hear that song, Spread, what's that song? Spread a little, is it Spread a Little Happiness? I hear that, the melody of whatever that is. But, and so I get kindness counts, and I see that whole World Cup, how, take care of each other. We got to take
Are
care of
you
one
into the
another.
World Cup? Are you watching it?
Yeah, here and
Yeah, I'm
there.
not into. I did watch it the last week because I was out with friends, but I'm
Yeah.
not like I'm more of like a football girl. I do like basketball. I do like baseball. I do like hockey. I do like tennis and golf, but I'm not. I say I'm more like golf and football, and then so I'm picking up lessons again for golf. So I'm
Love
excited
it.
about that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Lisa, I like that for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think tennis too. Like I'm just trying to like have the hot girl summer
Yes,
and just kind of get back into singing and dancing and doing all the things. I
I
think it's
think that's true.
important.
But it is, because it's going to raise and change the energy and the vibration in your life, and you're going to attract different and new, exciting and new. Come
Yeah,
aboard. We're
because like
expecting
I
you.
loved Broadway was always like my first singing and dancing in Broadway and being a rock star, and then you go from that to acting and then to hosting, and then I mean my day job I'm normally a social media manager or producer, so it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I love that for you, and I'm going to encourage you to continue on that path.
Yes, I will be.
Yes. And I want to thank you so much for hosting me on this beautiful
Oh my God,
platform.
you're so welcome. I don't know. We had a whole bunch of people, and now it seems like it might just be you and me, but that's okay.
Okay. It is okay. I was looking to see who, like, there's a few people here who said,
Oh, no. What just happened? Whoops. Hold on. Let me see if I can get her back. Something just happened. I think she got herself out by a second. Oops. I don't know what happened. All right. Well, it was fabulous to have Debbie on. I tried to bring her back. Let's see if it works. It's just not going to work. All right, no worries. This will be up. It will also be on podcast, YouTube. So thank you all for watching. It was a fabulous night. Okay, bye.